Today we go back in time to face the dangers of Pandaria with 0 to Hero challenge. I chose Warrior this time as I just simply love to zigzag in ARM style. With this challenge I want to fully explore the PvE content of Pandaria through leveling up to 70 and then completing all the raids and dungeons pandas have in store, so let's jump right in. So right after entering the world we see shit tons of people already waiting to get onto the Remix Pandaria hype train, which was pretty shocking to be honest, because I honestly thought that not many people will try out the old expansion. The introduction quest is very quick and easy to do, so we are being thrown into the action in no time. We start exactly where the Pandaria content started. The great thing is that right after the start we get the dungeon finder unlocked, dragon riding unlocked, everything we need to actually level fast and easy and how we want. You wanna go questing, grab your dragon riding mount and fly everywhere as fast as possible. If you want to get some scenarios out of the way to see how it was back then, you're free to go. There's plenty available from straight up from the start. Especially that, strangely enough, it was pretty hard, at least for a DPS, to find a group for Dungeon Finder, and I thought exactly opposite after seeing so many people in the starting zone, but I guess tanks are very hard to come by, so we just need more patience, and in the meantime we can really enjoy some questing, as Mists of Pandaria, especially the initial zones, were pretty great with all those siege mechanics and stuff like that, so definitely at least worth trying. Even though I'm not like the biggest fan of Pandaria lore in itself, there are pretty cool stuff like the Mogu, the Taranzu character which we meet initially, has some very cool story as well, so I guess everybody can find something that fits their cup of tea. When we come down to the PvE content, the dungeons themselves were pretty straightforward, same as it was in Mists of Pandaria, and nothing really new, but it was a quick and very fun way of playing some PvE content straight up from entry, even though this way of playing was actually available to us because we could just simply choose Mists of Pandaria content and do the dungeons anyway in this iteration. So it's not a big deal, but scenarios are actually something different and they were really cool. I loved leveling through them, and I basically would say that I spent most of the time in scenarios, especially before unlocking the raids. If you play or tried Ascension WoW, there are basically something like mana storms, but a little bit more advanced in terms of engagement, because you not only kill stuff, you have some puzzles to make in the meantime, which is pretty cool, just more enjoyable. And they are pretty laid out, you don't have to sweat too much to get them done. And you know, it's definitely more interactive than simply questing. You still get plenty of loot, and where we're at the loot subject, there's actually plenty of stuff to look into. I mean, I spent so much time just going through my inventory, trying to find like the best things we can get, as there are plethora of new gems and stuff added to the game, as we don't usually get our standard stats. We just add additional statistics by gemming stuff. So most of your gear has some prismatic sockets with which you can equip your items. They do have some secondary stats, but usually the second stat is being chosen by you. Every reward you basically get in this game is simply cache, which can contain equipment with one secondary stat and usually some slots to slap some gems in. The gems are different, they can provide you with standard stats, and the gems themselves can be improved by collecting more and more of those. And there are other type of gems which basically gives you extra ability from other class, like in boots, or just simply some kind of power up. That kind of reminds me of like Torghast a little bit, when you get some special abilities that make you completely overpowered and sometimes consist of very cool effects like improvement movement speed, some special bonuses for damage, things like that. So it's pretty interesting, considering that, you know, that standard overall gearing in World of Warcraft is nothing really that fancy. You just choose your secondary stats and that's it. And this time we get some very cool powers, which I think is like a combination of a little bit of Torghast and a little bit of a Season of Discovery, where you basically have kind of a rune system, let's say, but you put it in your own gear, that you put also in your own gear. So pretty cool idea. Make things really interesting because you constantly have to check your inventory. What new things did you get? There are potions with plenty of buffs, items that gives you perma stat boosts as well. And let's not forget the Time Runner's Advantage, which is our legendary cloak that is basically being powered by doing everything. You sometimes get some power up just by killing a simple mob, and it gets ridiculously overpowered. So all in all, it makes simply itemization very interesting. It's not just a simple right click after every quest to get some item level upgrade. You actually have to look through your items and see how it affects your damage, your statistics, everything simply. And there's actually plenty of things that can improve your character and work differently with setups, which is pretty damn cool. And it keeps things fresh all the time rather than just looking at your item level. I wonder if Blizzard is actually like testing this to, for example, implement it in the main retail gameplay, because I actually think that this would be really cool. Maybe not yet in this expansion or the War Within, upcoming War Within, but who knows, maybe they're testing stuff for the next expansion, so could be pretty cool. We're gonna see how it's gonna turn out on level 60. And we all can relive once again the destruction of Theramore Isle. This is one of the most iconic things in World of Warcraft lore. Probably one of the most interesting things as well. So we can all relive this event with this scenario. When it comes down to dungeons, they were pretty smooth. Nothing really that hard, but if you didn't really pay attention to the mechanics, you could die pretty easily as well. So having a DBM does definitely help a lot, especially if you don't remember all the tactics for certain bosses. I was even in a situation where the tank has like 500 health when I already had around 1700, and he was taking quite a beating, to be completely honest. So setting up all your stuff and getting usage of all the gems and powers is really mandatory for fast levelings, and it's actually pretty big when it comes down to your power spike. So it was definitely a very fun experience, reminding how all the dungeons and bosses work, and to be honest, it was very cool. Eventually, after reaching level 20, we received our first mount, which was this Red Phoenix. Looks pretty cool, and it's a free reward, so I take it. With the currency we gather from everywhere, so the bronze, you're able also to upgrade our items, so you don't have to constantly re-equip them. If you don't want to, you can just upgrade them. Then the slots will be upgraded as well, which is a very convenient way of doing things. There are also very cool transmog sets, and each set costs around 5,000 bronze, so I think it's not that big considering that I earned almost 5,000 just by doing initial quests in some dungeons. If you want to enjoy PvE, you can always find additional quests in the bazaar. There are plenty of NPCs to pick up quests from, either you want to do scenarios, raids or dungeons. It's always some additional currency and caches to open, so be sure to check that out. There are even vendors that you can buy some gems from that you haven't got in your collections. And everything has been simplified to just use the bronze currency, so it's very significant, very easy to use. Other than that, we just level up all the way until level 70 and increase our item level with some very cool stuff and effects from Pandaria, so it's definitely a fun experience. But honestly, I can't wait until trying out some Pandaria raids and how does it actually go in leveling, so stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.